Southwest, you can absolutely count on me to never book with your airline ever again. Firstly, after your flight attendant profiled a Muslim man, which was causation for him to be removed off of a flight and publicly humiliated, but you all have a fat person policy? Y'all, I have seen at least 10 videos on TikTok of people who have talked about the fact that Southwest has a new policy, which they are calling people a customer of size, which is requiring them to purchase additional seats and pay any applicable seat fees at the airport. And if the flight is sold out to which there is no adjacent seat, they cannot take that flight, even though they have already paid to take that flight. I just saw a video of a woman who said that she believed that she can fit comfortably in a seat. She goes to check in for her flight, and it is the customer service agents who size her up literally. And they tell her, oh no, you're going to have to purchase an additional seat.
Boy. So we got to talk about some hilarious backlash that Southwest is currently getting from the high calorie community, right? The high calorie community, also known as the plus size community. They're now lashing out at Southwest over their new seating policy. So Southwest, they're changing their seating from being able to basically pick your own seat to seating that is assigned, right? So they're going to do what normal airlines do now. I always found it weird flying on Southwest with their seating policy, because basically everybody tries to grab either the window seat or the aisle seat, right? And they always leave that middle seat, and you basically are guaranteed to get a middle seat if you get on the plane last, right? If you get on the plane last, you're screwed, right? It gets very awkward. So they're changing it, okay? And because they're changing that, they can no longer refund their plus size or high calorie customers who are forced to buy 2 seats. So they say, hey, if you're plus size, you can buy 2 seats, and then we'll give you a refund on one of the seats after the flight, basically. And they have now changed that, and they're saying, no, we're not offering these refunds anymore, or we're not offering these credits anymore. And now the fat community is upset, and they're getting kicked off flights because this policy changed. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Southwest has a new seat policy, and some passengers are not too happy about it.
Yeah, there's turbulence over at Southwest, and I hadn't seen this one coming, but apparently neither did a lot of other people as well. Now, when it comes to plus-size passengers, but Southwest always drew raves from these folks because of its sensitive treatment of people in that situation. But these days, apparently, Southwest is being flooded on social media with complaints about how it is treating some of its larger, heavy-set passengers, including accusations of outright fat shaming. Southwest policies regarding heavy-set passengers used to be requiring them to buy a second seat, but then refunding or crediting them afterwards. But in January, that policy changed, reportedly forcing people to buy an extra seat even if they never had to buy one before, or even denying people access to flights. And then refunds for second seats, they're now given only when a flight is full. Now, the wonderfully named Tigress Osborne, executive director of the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, well, she told the New York Times that Southwest gave very little advance warning of its policy switch, and basically caused many plus-size people who for years brought all their business to this airline to suddenly say, wait a minute, where's the love? Southwest, for its part, says in a statement that it always wants to provide a comfortable experience for everyone, but when it changed its policy and imposed assigned seating on the flights, well, it says it had to change other seating-related requirements as well. I think the bottom line here is airlines are a weight-based business. There's no getting around that, but not making everyone feel welcome, that's not the way to play.
A lot of changes.
This is a very liberal network. I mean, seriously. What do you mean not making everybody feel welcome? You're larger than the average human, right? These seats are designed for the average human, right? The average size human, okay? If you are bigger than the average size human, which means you're too big for the average size seat, right? For the average size human, then you should buy another seat, right? I'm just saying, right? Like, you should buy another seat. And basically, Southwest is not required to subsidize people who are only paying for one ticket to take up 2 seats, right? They're not required to do that. That eats into their profits, okay? Maybe, just maybe, a person who is larger than average should try to be a normal size, right? Seriously, right? Try to be normal size. There needs to be some incentive to be normal sized, right?
It's to Southwest.
No kidding.
Yeah.
They used to be the friendly airline, and now look.
Well, you know, people are averse to change, but it seems like there could be a simple solution here. I know that they had to make room for extra legroom seats and things like that, premium seats, but this seems like an easy fix.
You would think, although...
Yeah, the easy fix is to not be larger than normal size. But hey, that's going to be a thing in the past, honestly, because with this Ozempic stuff and all these peptides and stuff becoming so popular, I think a lot of people are going to get on it, and this problem will be fixed, at least in America, right? I mean, people can say what they want about, those drugs and whether or not it's good or bad in the long term. Regardless, if it's helping people not be obese, it's probably a net positive, right? But, hey, that's not to say that there may not be some long-term issues, right? I mean, everything has trade-offs. I don't know. I'm just saying that in 2026, there's an easy fix if you're a larger than normal human being.
Size matters when it comes to airlines, and especially when it comes to the coach class. Obviously, the trend for many years has been shrinkage, and so when you've got a population that's getting larger, you've got a clear problem on your hands. Obviously, airlines have a duty to treat everyone with respect and sensitivity. But in a situation like this, you don't want to get into a situation where people are saying fat shaming. And that's where Southwest seems to find itself now.
Oh, my God. There's nothing more gross than a liberal white man pandering like this. Why? Why? You want airlines to treat people with respect who don't respect themselves, right? Let's be real. If you are an obese individual, right, obese to the point, grotesquely obese to the point where you require 2 seats, right, in order to fit on the plane, you don't respect yourself. Let's keep it 100. So it's hard for an airline, for anybody to respect people who don't respect themselves, right? Because if you respect yourself, you should not allow yourself to get that big, right? So a lot of people who are that big are now taken to the internet to complain, right, about their experience with Southwest after they implemented this new policy. Take a look.
Okay, so excuse me looking rough. I literally just got off work. But since seeing all of this stuff going on with Southwest, I too was a victim of Southwest. So I'm sitting with the other passengers and they make an announcement saying that they're trying to lessen the weight of the plane because it is a fully packed out plane. So I hear a lady coming from behind me. She's asking the people behind me, next to me, hey, can you check your bag? Can you check your bag? Can you check your bag? So when she comes up to me and I still have my AirPod in, I take it out and I tell her, hey, like, I've already checked my bag. I've already paid my money. I don't have a bag with me. So, to save her time. But she tells me, she says, have you flown in with Southwest? And I said, yes, ma'am, I did. And she said, do you fit in a seat? And at this point, I take my AirPod out because I'm like, girl, what are you talking about? Do I fit in a seat? Oh, yeah. Like, I flew here, no problem, on Southwest. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, I'm still not understanding what's going on. I'm telling her, yeah, of course I fit in a seat. Like, she said, do you need a seatbelt extender? And I'm like, no, I don't need a seatbelt extender. Like, the seatbelt itself goes on just fine. Like, I don't have any problems whatsoever. And she's okay. Well, based on your size, you're a very large woman. Based on your size, it looks like you might not be able to get a chance to get on this flight. And at that point, I didn't say anything because I was mortified and I didn't know what I could say because it sounded like she had already made up her mind, like, oh, you're not going home today. So I was just stunned into silence and I couldn't even speak. I was so embarrassed. And I'm looking around and everybody is just staring at me. And if you know me, I get embarrassed really, really fast, like on the regular. So this to me was absolutely mortifying. I'm still sitting there, stunned in silence. And the lady who was talking to me at first, she goes back up to the front. And then a few minutes later, a supervisor comes to me and she pulls me up to the gate. And I'm like, girl, you might as well just say my business out here. Everybody already know what's up. Like, there's no need to pull me to the front now. So she tells me, because of my size, that I am considered a liability to the other passengers. That if I can't fit into a seat, then I'm just a danger to the other passengers, and it's not logical for me to get on that flight. She said it would be worse for me that if I get on this flight and they have to remove me because I can't sit in the seat. So to save myself, from the embarrassment, I need to rebook for another flight the next day that has two seats for me to sit on. They were not compassionate at all. Neither the lady who talked to me the first time and the person who talked to me the second time, which was the supervisor, they were not trying to hear it. I'm telling them, I have my friend who's going to sit next to me on my flight. Even after I told them I can fit into the seat with no seatbelt extender, I have a friend of mine who's sitting next to me. He doesn't care if I get in his space, even though I'm not in his space. He doesn't care. He can sit next to me. Would that be okay? They said no. I'm saying, why are you only removing me from the flight? You didn't talk to anyone else. You only talked to me. And I guess because I was just the biggest person that they could find, they decided to just ask the biggest one they could find, and maybe that'll help make weight, which makes no sense.
So at this point, flying Southwest is a humiliation ritual. I've seen in the videos about other fat people having their own experiences, and I'm ready to share mine. A few weeks ago, I was going to Jamaica, and I purchased an X-Zero seat, both things. I don't typically fly Southwest, and I need to make this abundant. I don't fly Southwest. I'm a United girl, okay? I purchased a seat so that I could have more leg space and all that, as most fat people do. And then I also needed a seatbelt extender. Now, when I selected the seat, it doesn't tell you, like, you cannot sit there if you need a seatbelt extender. It does give you all the other, like, precautions and safety measures about sitting in an X-Zero seat, but it doesn't say you cannot sit there if you need an X-Zero, if you need a seatbelt extender. All right, cool. I get on the plane. I request a seatbelt extender. A flight attendant comes over. She's like, hey, I'm sorry. You can't sit there because you need a seatbelt extender and it's a safety precaution. I said, oh, my God, okay, no problem. Put me wherever. That's what I said. I said, put me wherever. Because I don't want to cause no problems in the airport. I want to get to where I'm going safely, right, and quickly. I don't want no issues in the air. If I need to handle anything, I'm going to handle it when I'm off the plane. I'm at my destination, right? Okay. So she's like, she comes over to tell me. I go, okay, cool. Another woman comes over with a big-ass iPad. She's like, you can't sit there because you can't fit. I said, okay, put me wherever. I'm fine. That's okay. I didn't know that, and now I know. She goes, we have to find you a seat. So now people have overheard her say, because we're boarding, people have overheard her say that I need to move. They're like, oh, I'll switch with her. I'll switch with her. They're like, she's like, no, she can't fit there. No, she can't fit there. There's somebody who's going up and down and playing with this fucking iPad, being like, she can't fit there. We need to find somewhere for her to fit because she can't fit anywhere. I'm like, by the fourth time she said it, like, I'm getting very uncomfortable. Like, I'm getting pissed off. Because at no point did I say no. At no point did I push back. At no point, it didn't dictate all of that. It really didn't. The whole plane doesn't need to know that I have to move my seat because I need a seatbelt extender. And I didn't know that, so now I have to move. Like, the whole plane does not need to know that. So that had to be, like, maybe row 14 or 15 or something. They ended up moving me to row 29.
Yeah, it happened to me, too. Southwest, you would never get my money again. This was the final straw. So I've seen every video of other plus-size passengers who have been discriminated, who have been targeted about their new customer of size policy where you have to buy an extra seat. So my anxiety was through the roof where, you know, I had upcoming flights. So my being me, I did my due diligence of calling, of getting two extra seats of my going and my coming back, because what I didn't want was someone approaching me and then I have to get out of character. But, you know, long and behold, I thought I was doing the right thing by being an example of just going ahead, getting out the way. Nobody got to say anything to me. The guy approached me and he startled me, so I had to pause my music and I was like, hello. And he was like, what flight are you on? Obviously, I'm on the flight to Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm sitting right here at the gates. And I said, I'm on this flight. And so he leans over and he said, are you aware of the new Southwest? I said, sir. I said, sir, no disrespect. Before you even go there, I said, yes, I'm aware. I've already bought the 2 seats. I said, so there's no need to explain anything to me. I'm aware. He said, okay, good. I said, do you need to see my boarding pass? Because at that point, I had both my boarding passes up where it showed I had bought the window seat and the middle seat. I'm a window seat type person. I like, I don't like that aisle seat mess. So he goes back to the 2 gate agents, and I'm watching them having a conversation about me. So they were like, oh, so he did buy 2 seats. What's his name? And so I'm sitting there watching them having a conversation with me. He comes back over to me and said, can you pull up your boarding? I said, yes, sir. I said, you see right here, 3F, 3E, window and middle. I said, my name is Isaac Smith. He goes back over to the gate. They are whatever, to the other gate agents, whatever they were doing, they was looking up in the system, cool, whatever. Once again, they're still having a whole conversation about me. The ticket agent, the one that's at the counter, she was all the way down at the other end. She comes all the way to where the gate is and said, did he buy 2 seats? I just want to make sure. And then the guy comes back over and said, we're going to change your reservation to show that you are the ticket holder of those 2 tickets. And I said, why? When I've already went through the hassle of calling customer service and buying these seats way before. He said, well, instead of you buying it individually, you need to buy it together. He talking about next time. So that's like the 3rd time he came over there. So he went back over there. Mind you, they're still having a conversation about me. So I get a notification on Southwest that my boarding has been changed. He goes to the ticket lady and brings me back a new boarding pass. The new boarding pass has 2 different seats on it. It has 2E and 2D, I believe. And it has an aisle seat and a middle seat. I said, are these seats even together? So at that point, I got irritated because you done came over here 4 times and now it's time for me to get up. So I get up, I go over there and I said, hey, are these seats together? I said, because originally when I bought these seats, I bought a window and a middle seat, 3F and 3E. I said, y'all done switched me from a different row. Now I am 2D and 2E in the aisle seat. I said, I don't feel comfortable sitting in the aisle seat. I don't never pick an aisle seat because I don't want people brushing past me. I don't want people to do that. No. I know how my body is structured. So that's why I go ahead and get a window seat. The lady gonna sit here and tell me, well, yeah, the seats are beside each other. As far as us changing it, there's nothing we can do about that. What do you mean there's nothing you can do about it when originally those were my seats? Y'all could have just left me alone. Like, I already told the man I bought 2 seats. Y'all could have just left me alone. I just felt like they went out their way to prove a point. I just felt like they went out their way. And mind you, I ain't going to tell you they color their skin because you already know. I just feel like they went out their way to prove a point. To show people, yeah, he's big. Yeah, he needs 2 seats. But I already did my due diligence way before. I called customer service the day before and got my 2 extra seats. And I just felt like that whole having a conversation about me in front of me, that whole coming to me 4 times, that was unnecessary. Southwest, you need to do better.
Yeah. So Southwest should do better because they're not trying to give obese people special rights and privileges that they don't give normal sized people anymore. right? But not the individuals who are larger than normal size, right? You don't need to do better, right? This is not your fault at all that you're a larger than normal person, okay? For people who are of normal size, this is not an issue, right? Normal size people do not have to request 2 seats, right? They don't have to use 2 seats in order to fit comfortably in a seat. Now, again, I'm not saying the seats are all, very comfortable, but generally a normal size person can fit in a seat, and hey, it's okay, right? It's fine. But if you're so big that you can't fit in the seat, like literally your ass can't fit in 1 seat, then you got to pay for 2 seats. And even if you pay for 2 seats and they say, hey, you got to do it a certain way, you got to do it a certain way. It is what it is. There's an easy way to not have to go through this, right? To not deal with this problem. You can lose weight, right? You can not be larger than normal. There is no reason to be a larger than normal person unless you're getting paid. Like, you're an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, linebacker, right? An actual professional athlete, right? Somebody who's paid to be that big, okay? Unless you're paid to be that big, there is no reason for you to be that big. Not in 2026, okay? Just not. So it's an easy fix, right? It's an easy fix. You can actually solve a lot of problems. You're gonna solve a lot of health issues. You're gonna feel a lot better. You're gonna be able to enjoy life more. Your quality of life is gonna go up, and you're not gonna have to deal with discrimination, right? If you just change your size, right? If you just lose weight, okay? You don't have to deal with this. I know, crazy idea, right? Crazy idea. But I just don't think it's reasonable to expect corporations to give you special treatment for being obese. Being obese is not a disability, right? It's not a disability that somebody can't help that they have, right? Like, you're big because you eat too much. There has to be some motivation for you to not be so big, right? If it's inconvenient to be big, then people are motivated to lose weight, right? To not be big. So these inconveniences actually are very important, right? They're very valuable because they disincentivize bad behavior. If you don't want to be discriminated against as an obese person, don't be obese, right? It's really that simple. This is not hard to figure out. But, these people are always going to blame everybody else. It's society's fault. You got to bend over backwards for them because they don't have any self-control. It's crazy. It really is. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.